Adventures on the Sword Coast, Chapter 15. After defeating the young White Dragon Cryovain on the slopes of Icespire Peak, the party made their way up to Icespire Hold to shelter from the cold. Encountering a group of 4 mercenaries called the Stone-Cold Reavers in the gatehouse, a brief but bloody battle ensued. 2 Reavers were taken prisoner. The night was bitterly cold, and anyone not in shelter would have surely perished in the icy winds. As the party prepared to enter the fortress in the morning, they check that the prisoners are securely tied up. Amos the Destroyer thinks it is more important that the 4 horses are alive, rather than the well-being of the captured Stone-Cold Reavers. As they cross the bridge that leads from the gatehouse to Icespire Hold, they see a sturdy wooden door with a small iron bell on a short chain above it. Looking down from the bridge, they see the trail that they had ascended. Then from the north, they notice an eagle flying towards them. It circles the gatehouse, then lands on the bridge, transforming into Tristan, the dragon-born druid. He apologises for his absence and not being there to fight Cryovain, but he had become lost in his transformation. Tristan warns the party that he had seen someone coming up the trail with a horse laden with supplies as he circled above Icespire Peak. Could this be another Stone-Cold Reavers come to join their comrades? The party looked through the various arrow slits in the gatehouse to get a glimpse of the stranger. Princess Lady Anastasia runs down to the main gatehouse door as Amos shouts out, "Who goes there?" But there is no reply. Princess and Tristan decide to go down the path to meet this stranger and find out exactly who they are and what they want. At the far side of the trail, out of view of the others, they come face to face with a female. They see a young woman with red skin, black eyes and horns on her head. Behind her is a horse carrying supplies. She is a tiefling, thought Princess. Tristan greets the stranger. "Hello there, lady." The tiefling responds, "Who are you?" "I'm Tristan the Druid. What is your purpose here?" The stranger introduces herself as Zarya Cree and explains she is with a group of adventurers but got left behind in the bad weather. She is here to defeat the dragon, but after passing the body further down the path, she realises that it is now dead and asks if Tristan and Princess are responsible. Princess Lady Anastasia proudly declares that she and her friends defeated the dragon. Zarya then asks about her travelling companions that should have arrived at Icespire Hold. Princess cautiously says, "Which ones?" Zarya Cree says, "The Stone-Cold Reavers." Princess says, "Most of them are dead. We killed them after they attacked us." Amos the Destroyer hurries down the path, great axe in hand, to see what is going on as Zarya explains that she was with the Reavers in order to repay a debt. Amos says, "Well, your debt is cleared. The Reavers are either dead or captured." Zarya goes on to explain that she is not looking for trouble, so Amos puts his great axe away as Zarya asks, "Were you going to chop me up?" "Not really," replies Amos. "Any enemy of the Reavers is a friend of ours." Giving Zarya a wry smile, he asked her to come and meet Fairfax Whitbeam and Zurek. Reluctantly, Zarya Cree agrees to come up to the gatehouse, and meet the other members of the party, although she thinks they are more interested in her horse and the supplies it carries rather than her. Amos offers Zarya a hand, just like he did when he first met Zurek. A brief contest of strength ensues, which Amos critically wins. Pleased with himself, he encourages her onwards to meet the party, followed by Princess, who is now skipping along the path with her chain. Arriving at the gatehouse, Amos introduces Zarya Kree to Fairfax Whitbeam and Zurek. Fairfax is surprised by the words used by Amos, who says, "Meet the great and powerful sorcerer, Fairfax Whitbeam." He is still impressed with Fairfax dealing the killing blow to Cryovain. While the introductions are taking place, Tristan disappears into the room where the prisoners are being kept. Princess notices this, but her perception is not great enough to ascertain what the Dragonborn is up to. Amos the Destroyer calls out, "Let's go into the fortress." Seeing the door slightly ajar, Amos rings the bell hanging outside, but it only makes a dull thud, having corroded over the years and now being coated in ice. Opening the wooden door, Amos sees a short corridor leading to another door with arrow slits on either side. Opening the second door, this reveals a once grand room with tapestries and decorative shields, but these are all now broken and damaged. Human skeletons litter the room, which is a large crest symbol painted on the floor. Amos does not perceive any danger, so he continues over to the door on the south wall. The rest of the party search the room, with Tristan performing a history check. He determines that the emblem on the floor is that of the warlord Delzandra Amzar, who legend has it he fought the orc hordes that threatened the Sword Mountains and the surrounding area. Also, looking at the skeletons, it appears as though they died of starvation rather than in battle. Amos continues to the end of the corridor and opens the door to the west, finding a small armoury with the weapons racks, but they had long since rusted away. Tristan opens the east door on the corridor and finds a number of smashed tables, along with a large white wolf head that had fallen off the wall and onto the floor. As they continue their search, Tristan opens the door at the far side of the room and stumbles across three creatures. Looking at their long tails and reptilian-like features, he recognises them to be kobolds. At the same time, icicles start to drop down from the ceiling and animate into a humanoid figure. With teeth and claws, it slashes out at Tristan, causing damage to the surprised druid. One of the kobolds shouts, "Intruders, we must warn the master," at the same time swiping at Tristan with his dagger, but misses. Fairfax Whitbeam hears the commotion in the room and goes to investigate. Seeing the ice creature attacking Tristan, he casts Shocking Grasp and causes significant damage. Princess Lady Anastasia also hears the noises of battle and runs down from the main hall, through the corridor and into the room where the kobolds have been found. Seeing the Ice Mephet attacking Tristan, she goes into a rage, swinging her blood axe recklessly twice, shattering the creature into pieces. Unfortunately, all those in the vicinity are showered with shards of ice. Using their dexterity, Tristan and Princess manage to dodge the worst, but Fairfax receives multiple cuts from the flying ice shards. Zarya Kree moves into the room. She can't see any enemies immediately, but notices Zurek at the other door. As she moves towards him, Zarya sees the kobolds and, casting Eldritch Blast, kills the nearest of the three kobolds with 2 beams of crackling energy. Zurek hears a sound coming from the chimney. As he turns, a small creature flies out and hits him, the spike on its head piercing his arm as it attaches itself to his body, already feeding on his blood. This is a scourge. Another sturge flies at Zarya, sinking its spike into her neck and frantically sucking her blood. One of the kobolds moves back out of view as the other lunges forward, hitting Tristan with its dagger. In return, Tristan uses Wild Shape to transform into a wild boar, attacking the kobold with his tusks, but misses. Zurek reaches over and tries to pull the sturge off Zarya. His mighty strength allows him to detach the sturge and crush it to death with his hands. As he turns, he calls out, "Now get this one off me!" As Amos the Destroyer, hearing all the shouting and sounds of fighting, runs back towards the party to find kobolds, Icespire and sturges attacking everyone. Fairfax Whitbeam looks up at Amos and says, "Welcome to the party." Amos, confused, shouts, "What on earth is going on?" and goes into a battle rage. Amos grabs the sturge of Zurek and crushes it in his hands. Then, taking out his great axe, he runs over to the wild boar and takes aim. Fairfax shouts, "You don't want to do that, it's Tristan." Amos looks confused, but stops short of hitting the wild boar with his great axe. Another ice mafet flies out of the chimney and blasts Princess, Amos, Tristan and Zurek with its frost breath. Only Zurek manages to miss the worst of the cold damage using his dexterity. Fairfax, seeing his friends in trouble, casts Chromatic Orb. As a sphere of energy hits the creature, it looks badly wounded. Still in a rage, Princess Lady Anastasia recklessly attacks the ice mafet with her blood axe, shattering it with her first swing. As it explodes in a shower of icy shards, both Princess and Amos are hit, but this piercing damage is of little concern to the two raging barbarians. Princess then continues onto the doorway and swings at the kobold, but it manages to dodge her blow. Zarya uses Elemental Gift to fly over Tristan in his wild boar state and land behind the kobold. Then, using her dagger, she tries to stab the creature. Another ice mafet appears the bottom right hand corner and blasts Amos, Tristan, Fairfax and Princess with its frost breath. Seeing Zarya behind him, the remaining kobold turns around and strikes at her with his dagger. Reverting back to human form, Tristan casts Blight on the kobold. As necromantic energy washes over the creature, it explodes, showering him and Zarya in blood. Zurek takes out Lightbringer and hits the ice mafet, landing a solid blow. Then, using Shieldmaster Shove, he pushes the creature back and hits it again. As it explodes under his onslaught, icy shards fly towards Zurek, but he manages to dodge most of them using Shieldmaster Evasion. A calm comes back to the room. Amos says, "Where did that other kobold go?" Zurek replies, "I believe it ran out the back way." The room that they had been fighting in looks as though it used to be a kitchen, with various cooking utensils and spice jars. Zurek finds a jar of mixed spice and gives it to Amos, and suggests he could use it to flavour his pork jerky. Fairfax formally welcomes Zarya to the party by saying, "You'll get used to our strange ways." Tristan and Fairfax head north along the corridor, trying to locate the third kobold. Opening a door to the northwest, he locates an empty, ransacked room. The northeast door takes Fairfax up another corridor. Princess joins Tristan and Fairfax, and together they proceed further up the corridor, which leads into a large disused room. It appears to be the old officers' quarters, with a sturdy oak table in the centre of the room, and 3 skeletons on the floor, with a 4th in plate armour. Fairfax notices an ornate goblet on the floor, but using his nature check can't really tell what it was in it or if it served any special purpose. Tristan performs Arcana check on the goblet. It does not appear to be magical. Princess pokes the goblet. Seems safe, so she picks it up and puts it in her pack. Amos and Fairfax continue on past a spiral stairwell and into a large room that has been used recently. To the south, the fortress has collapsed, letting in the snow and the ice from outside. Tristan decides to go up the spiral stairwell and invites the rest of the party to join him. Arriving on the upper floor, the party are greeted with a rather grand-looking room, with furs piled up in the far corner. The room is decorated, but in a strange way, with antlers and decapitated orc heads. There is a large throne on the south wall. Zurek heads towards the northeast corner and disappears outside. From the distance, the Goliath can be heard saying, "Shiny." While the rest of the party investigate the room, Tristan performs a history check on the throne. It is decorated with 6 red coral branches, indicating it could have been made by sea elves and given as a gift to their land-dwelling cousins. Princess Lady Anastasia takes great delight in sitting in the throne, as Zarya determines the coral could be valuable. With this, Tristan snaps off a few branches, but they crack and break, making them worthless. Meanwhile, Zurek is on the fortress roof, where the dragon Cryovain was sleeping earlier. It is covered in sheet ice and very slippery. He drops to his knees and continues to crawl across towards something shiny. The rest of the party venture out onto the roof to see what Zurek has found. Zurek looks up and sees that Zarya Kree is still flying, but doubts she could pick him up. Amos the Destroyer gets out a rope and secures it to a chimney and heads off in the direction of the Goliath. Princess, using her dexterity, simply runs out onto the roof and tries to help Zurek, while pulling Amos along at the same time. Fairfax Whitbeam walks out onto the roof and immediately falls onto his backside on the slippery surface. Tristan decides to transform into a vulture by using wild shape, and flies out over the roof to see a small pile of gems, about 25 in total, a modest dragon hoard. As the party start to rummage through the gems, they hear a loud scream of pure hatred and anger coming from the north of Icespire Peak. They all turn to see a fully grown white dragon flying over the dead body of Cryovain. It has seen the party and starts to swoop down towards them. Princess is the first to react. With the dragon about 50 foot above her, she goes into a rage, draws her longbow and shoots, but the dragon evades the arrows. Zarya Kree is next to take action, casting Eldritch Blast. 2 beams of crackling energy streak towards the dragon, with one finding its mark. Amos the Destroyer and Zurek, fearing that the dragon is going to blast the party with its cold, icy breath, shout together, "Scatter!" Tristan, still in vulture form, flies up to meet the dragon, but misses with his talons. Performing an attack of legend, the dragon hits Tristan with its tail. Reverting to his normal form, he falls to the ground, taking terrible bludgeoning damage. Bloodied by the fall, Tristan casts Healing Word on himself to stop the bleeding. As the dragon moves forward, opening her mouth, she shouts, "I'm Cryovain. I've come to kill you all for killing my daughter, Cryovain." Her frightening presence strikes fear into everyone, apart from Tristan and Amos. Seeing that the barbarian is not afraid, Cryovain swoops down and bites Amos the Destroyer. With the dragon now in melee range, in a rage, Amos uses his dexterity to jump up onto the back of Cryovain and embeds his great axe into the creature's neck, while still attached to the safety rope. Fairfax Whitbeam casts Magic Missile as the darts embed themselves in the dragon. He looks up, but his wisdom fails him and he remains transfixed, frightened by the sight of the adult white dragon. Zurek takes out his heavy crossbow and fires at the underbelly of the dragon, but misses as it wrestles with Amos. Seeing the wisdom of his friend on the back of the beast, he is no longer in fear. Princess Lady Anastasia casts Prestidigitation as pink and black glitter showers into the air in an attempt to blind Cryovain. Even with this great spectacle, she is still afraid of the dragon. At the same time, Zarya casts Witch Bolt, but as she is still frightened of the dragon, it misses. She pauses for a moment, gathers her wisdom, and decides she is no longer in fear of this beast. Cryovain beats its legendary wings at Tristan and Amos as they both take damage from this attack. Amos the Destroyer, now unsettled, is thrown from the dragon's back, leaving his great axe embedded in its neck. Tristan casts Blight as necromantic energy washes over the dragon. He then casts Healing Word on himself in an effort to regain his strength. Cryovain perches on the edge of the fortress parapet, staring at the party with malice and hatred. Her mouth widening, she breathes out an icy cold blast. Amos the Destroyer and Tristan take full force of the blast and slump down on the floor unconscious. Shielded from the centre of the blast, Fairfax Whitbeam still takes a terrible amount of damage. Amos the Destroyer, close to death, manages to cling on to his mortal coil, but his life force is slowly ebbing away. Seeing his friends in dire need, Fairfax casts Mass Healing Word, which helps everyone and revives Amos and Tristan. He then looks at the dragon with disdain and casts Eldritch Blast, but still in fear for his life, the beams of energy harmlessly miss Cryovain. Zurek stands up and dashes forward, bringing the mighty Lightbringer down on the dragon's head. Then with Shieldmaster Shove, he pushes the beast off the battlements. Princess fires her longbow at Cryovain as it falls, hitting the dragon twice in her chest. She jumps up and down with glee after hitting her target. Sensing that the party now have the upper hand, Zarya Kree, no longer frightened, moves forward casting Witch Bolt. As lightning crackles over the dragon's wings, scorching them, they start to burn and crackle. In response to these attacks, Cryovain performs a legendary action with its tail against Zurek, but it misses. So using Ricochet, he attacks back again with Lightbringer, their mace crushing down on the dragon's skull. Tristan, using Summon Beast, creates a magical flying creature to attack the dragon as he hides behind the chimney, recovering from his wounds. Angered and in pain, the dragon launches a ferocious attack against Zurek. With teeth and claws, she causes massive damage to the Goliath. Still in a weakened state, but seeing his friend in trouble, Amos takes the healing potion he bought off Sister Gorelli, then throws a number of javelin at Cryovain. Fairfax Whitbeam, still fearful, casts Mage Armour to protect himself from further attacks from the dragon, as Zurek throws a spear at the beast. Further firing comes from Princess as she shoots at Cryovain with a longbow. Continuing with the barrage, Zarya casts Eldritch Blast as a beam of crackling energy slams into the dragon. Tristan's magical flying creature swoops down for a second attack as he casts Healing Word on Amos, who is now starting to look better. The dragon comes down to attack Princess, its giant mouth missing the barbarian as its claws dig deep into her body. Princess just laughs at this slashing damage. Amos, using his sharpshooter ability, throws a number of javelin. One finds a vulnerable area between Cryovain's scales, and the beast roars in pain as the javelin buries itself deep inside the dragon's neck. Fairfax has had enough. Casting Shatter, the dragon takes thunder damage from the spell as the ice on the roof shatters all around Cryovain's feet, although he is still petrified of the beast. Sensing defeat, Cryovain uses its legendary wing attack against Zurich and Princess. She also knocks Zarya out of the sky, who takes bludgeoning damage as she crashes onto the roof of the fortress. With that, the Goliath swings the mighty Lightbringer mace one more time over the dragon's head, and for the good of his friends, smashes Cryovain's skull into pieces. From the far side of the rooftop, Amos the Destroyer looks up and across to Zurek. Even in his weakened state, he still manages to give him a wry smile. The protectors of Philandolin have not only defeated the young White Dragon Cryovain, but its mother, Cryovain, and to the victor the spoils, as they all look across to the dragon hoard sparkling in the morning sunlight.